In this video, we're going to cover what to do with the cell phone that your loved one has left. When you've lost your loved one and you're considering opening up the cell phone and going through it, and you're trying to figure out, what do I do about this? Well, there's a process that we're going to encourage you to consider. One is, before you even open up the cell phone and start going through the data in there, that you prepare yourself emotionally for what you might find. Decide what you're going to do with the information that's in that cell phone before you actually start to check for it, because you may open up the cell phone and find some surprises. There may be text conversations that you were unaware of. There may be old text conversations that you had where you and your loved one were not speaking, or you guys were having difficulties in the relationship, and some things that were said or things that you regret. There might be some photos of times together that were wonderful, but also photos of tough times, or photos of people or other relationships that may have existed that you knew about or didn't know about that could cause pain. There might be a contact in there that you thought that person had deleted or wasn't in contact with, that you're surprised to find is there, or there might be a contact that you don't know about that is there. And so before you actually open up the cell phone, you want to make sure about how you're going to handle that when you check the phone. So you want to ask yourself the question, how am I going to handle what I might find on this phone? Asking that question and thinking about it before time allows you to make a decision about what to do about any negative information or photos or a contact that is in there that may trigger anger, confusion, that may trigger pain. And so you want to be able to pre-decide before you open up that cell phone about what you're going to do to handle that information, to allow yourself to make a decision about it, to allow yourself to plan for it, and then begin to open up the cell phone. And even before you start to go through the cell phone, make sure that you're in a place where it's quiet, where you're able to relax, where you can take your time, where you don't feel rushed. And if you should find something that you don't agree with or something that causes you pain, make sure that there's someone that you can either just stop looking through the phone and call and talk to, or even meet up with and just go outside, just to get a break from all of the onslaught of memories and information that's going to come as you go through this phone. The beauty of the cell phone is that your loved one's cell phone becomes a digital story, a timeline of your relationship with them, a story about things that they liked, things that they didn't. There are public and private memories on the phone. You can gain a window into what your loved one enjoyed, what they searched for, what they felt, and what they thought about you and your relationship with them, what they thought about other people in their lives, and just some of the things that was in their mind, in their heart, and some of the things that they enjoyed based on the pictures that they took, based on the emails that they wrote and the text messages. There's so much information to be gained in one person's phone. You'll find years of photos, adventures, and memories, sometimes long forgotten. Things that you've done that you're like, wow, we did that much that year, or I forgot all about this. There are contacts of people that both of you knew, and then maybe some that you don't know of, but that your loved one had communications with or a relationship with at one time. There's going to be on there message threads, some that you're proud of and some that you wish you were never sent. Maybe the two of you got into an argument and there's a thread about that argument and that conversation that you wish you never had now, in retrospect. There'll be phone calls that were missed, and then you also note that there are some phone calls that you spent a long time on that conversation. And so taking all this into account, once you go through that phone, you want to make sure that you hold on to the things that are most important to you. Now, the second step is that you may decide that you'll sanitize that phone for your mental health. That means taking out the things that are negative, things that are triggering negative emotions off that phone, so that when you do look at that phone and you look back on it, you're seeing the memories that you want to see. You're seeing the positive things that are helpful to your grieving process and to your overall mental health. This may mean that you might decide to delete all the text messages or emails that have painful contents that cause you to stay in a negative emotional place and that rob you of the ability to really just consider your loved one and grieve in the highlights, in the beauty, in the good things about your relationship, and not to focus on some of those negative or painful parts of the relationship when it puts you in a place that it actually hinders your grieving process. You want to consider if you're going to, block some emails or calls from people that may still be calling the phone because the line is active. You want to consider that some people may call because they're unaware of the circumstances. They're unaware that your loved one has passed away. And then others who are aware, but maybe they're not on good terms with you, may be calling to cause intentional hurt. And so you want to consider, maybe that you might need to remove some people from the contacts or block them. You might need to remove some people from your social networking groups if they're causing your grieving process to be difficult. And then, as part of helping your mental health, there might be some unwanted photographs on the phone or camera or computer that you might want to delete because it's causing further pain. If you're paying for the phone line, you may consider closing out the bill to not incur an ongoing debt or get calls from people that you know or don't know that can trigger anger, hurt, or that can trigger just negative emotions overall. Now, step 3, you want to preserve some data. So you might want to preserve the data, the phone, the photos on the phone, and other items that tell the story that you choose to honor, remember, and hold on to. Now, it's very important that you contact your tech support before you try to erase anything or accidentally do something that might erase something that you actually want to preserve. But by preserving the data, you can back up the information, whether you're backing it up to a memory card or you're storing them on a cloud. But, depending on what kind of phone you have, there'll be various ways to back up the phone on the cloud. Some people choose to just put the phone on a SD card or a SIM card. They move all the data on there, and then they have that card and they store that card away, because even if the phone stops working, they can take the SD card and put it on their phones or just look at it using the computer and be able to recapture that information even if the phone is no longer valid for continued use. Now, if you save the information and you decide, I want the information but I don't want the phone. Now, if you save the information and decide that I want the information but I don't want the phone, then you have other options. You can choose to give the phone to another family member who wants to hold on to it. You can choose to sell the phone, donate it, or dispose of it in a safe, sustainable way. And then there are other ways that your phone could actually be of benefit to someone else, from deciding if to save the information but you want to get rid of the phone. You can choose to donate the phone as a safety tool. This will help domestic violence victims have access to a phone. There are other items that sometimes people donate the phones as a fundraising tool to help nonprofits and low-income individuals have access to technology and have access to a phone. Some people will donate the phone to be used with those who are differently abled, providing them communication devices to enable engagement and access to services. And some people donate the tools as to be used in the educational realm as an educational tool. And those phones sometimes are sent to other countries that lack access to technology, and the phone actually becomes technology in the classroom. And so there are many different ways that if you choose to not hold on to the phone, that you can recycle it or use it to benefit others while you keep the data that's most important. And for those of you who are saying, well, I don't have access to my loved one's cell phone because I didn't have their password, I don't have any way of getting in there, I have the phone but I can't get into the phone, then you might want to consider contacting the cell phone company giving them a copy of the death certificate, the obituary, or some letter from the probate court that allows you to have access to the phone, or an attorney's letter. You may have to actually visit the cell phone service or carrier at their actual retail location in person to work through these important details, but that can help you get access to your loved one's phone. So I just want to remind you that, with this key information that you have, it becomes a digital story, a timeline. And so prepare yourself to engage in that digital story and decide what you want to hold on to, what you want to let go of in terms of reminders that are on the phone. And then also, once you decide to save that information and determine how you want to use that information in the future. So I just thank you for joining me. And I just want to remind you, as always, to remember, recover, and recreate your life. Thank you. Till next time.